All right, part four to my initiation, and I'm doing this this video because eventually, when people find out who I truly am and who I was in the past, this testimony will be significant to my story, to my lifetime story. And this is why I'm doing it, because it will help people to understand why I was chosen and why I am who I am. I am that I am. I am the person that I am because of. But anyway, these testimonies are important to my life story, which is why I'm putting them out there, so that once my story comes out, once people come to find out who I truly am, then when they look back at these videos, they will come to understand. Okay. Now, part four of my initiation. When I left off, it was when the last time I talked, I felt like I was talking when I was talking to the sun, the sun, sun in the sky. I really believe at the time that I was like that. That the sun was actually my son, my 17-year-old son, who was in high school at the time when these things was happening. He had went to school early that morning, and for some reason I was feeling like when that was happening, when I was talking to it, I was feeling like I was talking to him. So even when the time I was saying, "Son, come close," basically what what I was feeling at the time when it first appeared on this side of the tree there, I was feeling like, okay, he had just got to school and stuff like that, and he's setting himself, he's in classrooms and stuff like that. Then when I started talking to him and saying, "Son, come closer," and stuff like that, I just felt like I was really talking to him. Okay, but and another thing that's significant about that too is the fact that he is a Leo. He is a Leo. He is actually his sign is the sun. Okay, from his birth, his sign is actually the sun. And if he is the sun. I'm Earth. By the way, I'm a Earth. My son, he's actually he's a son. My daughter is air, and my husband is air. Okay. I have no water in my charts, in my family, in my immediate family. But I have a sibling that's a water sign. But in my house, I only have the sun, air, two air, and an earth, which is myself. Anyway, let me continue with the story. I don't even know why I mentioned all that. I just wasted 4 minutes. Okay. When I asked him the question, it may not be. I'm thinking about. It may not be that I asked him what time it was. I don't quite recall. I cannot say I recall exactly what I said to him, but I asked him a question. Talking about the sun, sun, right? I was talking to the sun, which I'm thinking at the time in my mind I was talking to my son, son. I asked him a question, but his answer came through my daughter's cell phone, because right after I asked the question, I heard a message beep on her phone, and so when I read it, and I could tell that was his answer for me. And the answer says civics and recreation, And then it said second period. Okay, civics and recreation, and second period. Till this day, I'm not 100% sure yet what the second period is talking about. Now, like I said, I have been studying the periodic table. There's some stuff about the periodic table that I've discovered that has a lot to do with us humans. But second, it could have meant, I felt like it talking about second period. The second period on the periodic table is what I'm thinking about, but I'm I'm not 100% sure yet. I haven't received confirmation about that time frame yet. Okay, but it also could mean I was feeling like it also could mean the second period from the time of my initiation, which my initiation happened in September of 2021. So second period could mean 2 years later, which would mean 2023. Okay, so we'll look to see if anything else happened in my to me in the second period, which actually some stuff began to happen in 2023. But what we need to be looking for is, or in the month of September of 2023, is when we need to be looking to see if something happened there, because I have a feeling that it may have something to do with this second period that it was talking about. But either way, it's civics and recreation, okay, is what's supposed to happen in that time frame. Okay, now okay, now after I received that information, I remember I was very emotional. And then I remember going back inside the house, and I was like crying with joy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to explain it, but I was crying, but it was a joyful cry. It was like a joyful cry. And then my daughter came and asked me what's wrong and stuff like that. And then I was telling her, I was like, I said, freedom to humanity. You don't understand what just happened there. You don't. I was like, you don't understand, but something amazing just happened for humanity. And I was crying, but it was joyful. I was like basically just very emotional about the situation. Okay. And then that was that. And then the rest of the day went by. A lot of stuff was still going on the TV. The spirits were causing me to see. It was mainly about the gold situation. It was mainly talking about the gold situation still off the TV and stuff like that. Then there was and then I felt like I had to go deposit the son to Home Depot. It kind of it don't make sense why that, but I had to deposit the son to Home Depot. And what's significant about that also is that my real son was supposed to start a job at Home Depot on the Saturday coming. He was supposed to start a job there that Saturday. But for some reason I was feeling like everything was orchestrated. Basically all I'm trying to say is that it's like the spirit world was orchestrating everything to the point where, technically I had no control over nothing, but it's not like I was ignorant to what was going on. I felt everything. I hear what I heard, and I witnessed what I witnessed, and a whole bunch of stuff was, some people would have called that, I was delusional, but basically the whole thing happened to me from the day before or even to the next day. There's no way you could be, like, well, maybe, I don't know, but I was going to say there's no way you could be delusional for 2 days in a row, nonstop or whatever. But either way, the spirits was leading the whole thing. But it's a good thing, though, that throughout the whole thing, it's not like I was possessed or anything. The reason why I said that, because when you are possessed, you cannot control your actions. There were some parts where I couldn't really control. Well, I didn't. I would say I was always in control, but there were some things that were to where I was pushed to do. But when you are possessed, you you cannot do anything on your own. Basically, the spirits take control over your body and do what they want to do through your body. But that was not that kind of situation at all. I was fully conscious. I was fully aware about everything that was going on, which is a very important part. Very important. And I was being made aware about what was going on. So I think that was important as well. So I remember after this whole scenario, after I believed that I was done with the sun, I was kind of feeling like I needed to go deposit the sun to Home Depot. Just notice Home Depot. Okay, deposit depot at home, basically. And if you look at the Home Depot sign, basically that's another meaning. That means something as well. And also, I saw that it had something to do with the alchemist, the Philosopher's Stone. Okay, it has that symbol. It had that symbol and the meaning. But so me and my daughter drove to Home Depot. We drove to Home Depot. The whole time it seemed like the sun was following us, because that's what I was doing. That's what I was supposed to do. So I drove to Home Depot, and as I was driving, I was looking up in the sky, and I was seeing that it looked like, for real, that it was following us, okay? Because it's like within an hour, after doing all this stuff, and then within an hour, I drove over to Home Depot, and it followed us, because when we got there too, it was right above to the place where I was supposed to deposit it. So I got there to Home Depot. I parked in the parking lot. I sat there for a little bit. I looked up at it, and it was right above us. Still, it was right above us. Meanwhile, it was like when we was at home, it was right at above the area where it was over the phone. Remember when I told you I drew it up to the phone, and then so after when we got to Home Depot, that was basically it. I felt like that my mission with the sun was over, to where I did what I was supposed to do. I took it home. Is basically what it is. Basically, what it is it's like as if I I let it to its home, to where it belonged. Home Depot, deposited at home. There's just some significance to that. But then after I was done there, that was it. And then I drove back home, and that was it for that. Okay, now the other part to this story is that um, that afternoon, I felt as if my husband was not supposed to come back home again. Okay, kind of like there was a switch. There was something that happened in the cosmos that says that he was not allowed to return back home. And so something happened to where I don't know if I something happened to where I knew that he was sent to another state, right? It was weird. It's like I knew he was sent to another state, but what was weird about it is that when he got there, as soon as he arrived, he found himself. I'm just telling the story as I knew it to be. Okay. What I is that once he got there, he found himself inside the house with another woman, right? That was supposed to be his new partner. And as soon as he saw that he was not, he was he what happened, what happened. As soon as he saw that, he saw what was happening, that he was no longer was gonna be in my life again. He I don't know how knew it, or somehow I don't know how. I know it didn't happen on the TV or anything. I didn't see it on TV, but I don't know if like it was in my mind's eye or something. Something caused me to know the story like this. Okay, I saw that. I guess I guess you could call it a vision, right? I've never had a vision before. What I saw was that as soon as he got to this other place, he found himself in another woman's house. Right, as soon as he realized what happened, he punched the woman really hard. He was so mad that he punched the woman really hard. But that's all I had got from that story. And then, I felt bad, but that's all I got from that story. But before that, I remember receiving a text from him, from my husband, and it said, I guess, what did this text say? It says something like, I guess I'll never see you again, or I guess you are happy now that I'm not. Something that indicated that, okay, he's moving on, like moving along, and yeah, like I'm not going to ever see him again, okay? And then I got that vision to what happened to him once basically the whole thing made me feel at the time that, okay, the cosmos made a rearrangement in our lives to where he was not allowed to return back home, back to this house, to the house with me again. So it was just going to be me and the kids. and stuff like that. Okay, so that's another part of this story. Okay, now that afternoon, right? As time was going by that afternoon, I it was getting late. It began to start getting late in the day, and I was in my daughter's room again, and her TV was on, and stuff like that. Where I was laying down, we was talking and stuff, and basically I was getting messages through the TV again. Okay, I was getting messages through the TV again, and then I couldn't stop looking at the TV because of the messages I was receiving, and I can't remember what the messages were, but I know there was a whole bunch of messages that I started receiving from the television, to the point where there was some choices I also was making, and there was some cartoon characters on TV, and the choices, every time I say yes to some choice, it's almost like they was asking me some questions, and then based on my answer, they would either be joyful, or the cartoon characters would be joyful, or they would be, sad or whatever. But I remember all the questions that was asked of me, my answer was yes, and then there was all, every time I say yes, then they was very happy and be joyful. So in a sense, I was feeling like I was also accepting them to come to the new kingdom. And then I remember at one point in time, I thought to myself, did I make the right choice? I said, did I make the right choice? Because I got all these butterflies and all these different types of animals being happy because I said yes. Anyway, these parts are not too important, but it's part of the story. Okay, so then I noticed that it was getting late. It was like 5 something. It was getting late, like 5:30ish, like around those times, right? And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I came outside and looked outside, and everything was normal. What happened I was looking for my husband to have been home already, because when he go to work, he get off at 4, so which means he would come home around 4:20, 4:25, 4:30, okay? But it was already an hour later. It was like 5:30ish, and he was not home. So I was like, oh my God, so it is true that he's not going to be coming back home. Like I felt like the vision that I had about him finding himself in another person's house in another state was true. So I'm like, oh my God, he's not coming home. So what I did, I went back to my daughter's bed, to her room, and I was laying there, and then I started texting him. I turned on my phone, and then I started texting him. Mind you, my phone had been off since the morning, but I turned on the phone and I started texting. I said, where are you? And he was texting me back, right? He was texting me back. He said, I think he said I'm at work or something like that. And I said, and then I remember telling him, when you coming home? I don't remember what his exact answer was. And then I said, I need you to come home. And I think that's what brought him home, because I was saying, I want you to come home. And then when I said that, he was answering me, but while I was getting answers on the phone, other stuff was going on the TV where my eyes would automatically go back to the TV and I was glued to the TV as well, and basically several different things was happening there. I don't remember all the details, but I know some important stuff was happening with the TV and with the text with my husband. Then let me see. Man, I still got a lot more to talk about with this initiation thing. Okay, so let's try to fast forward. Eventually my husband came back home. Came home, and that was it. But this thing kept going on even through the night. In the nighttime, I was laying down in my daughter's room again because I refused to go lay down in my bedroom with him being there and stuff. And something happened to where I felt like I had to come back outside. So I came back outside and had to do something with the moon again, right? But it was kind of weird. It was almost like a Black Panther type situation. But I don't recall all the details, but it was another thing where I had to put my feet in the wet grass again, and then I had to put it on my phone. After putting it on the wet grass, I had to step on the phone or something. Then my husband came out and said, "Anna Lee, what are you doing?" Whatever. And then I got my phone, I got this stuff, and then I went back inside the house. Went back to my daughter's room, and when I did that, somehow my husband called the cops, right? He called the cops, and next thing I know, a young good-looking cop came and opened the door to my room, to my daughter's room, and started asking questions. And so then I realized, okay, my husband called the cops on me. Before that, I must have been doing something. I don't recall what I did, but then he was like, "Anna Lee, if you don't stop, I'm gonna call the cops." And I said, "I don't care," or something like that. And then he did call the cops. But anyway, so when the cop came, it was one guy. He was young and he was pretty handsome, okay? I just remember that about him for some reason. Not that I, was paying attention at the time. There was too much stuff going on to me, but I just happened to notice, okay? But so what happened is he started asking me questions, right? He asked me for my name. He said, "What is your name?" I said, "My name is Anna Lee Anderson." He said, "Did you have anything to eat today?" I said, but guess what? What started happening to me? When he was asking me the questions, okay? First he asked me my name. I realized plainly what he asked me, and I answered him. He asked me about my kids. He said, "How many kids do you have?" I said, "I have 2 kids." He said, What are the names? Their names?" I said, I said their names. Okay, I'm not gonna say it right now, right? I said my kids' names, right? And then he asked me for my date of birth. I gave him my date of birth. I'm pretty sure I said it right, okay? And then he asked me, "Have I had anything to eat today?" Right? It was, mind you, it was nighttime. But when he asked me that question, my spirit made me believed at the time that I myself was the country of Haiti, right? It made me to understand that I was the country of Haiti, and my answer need to be according to that country, right? So, I'm remembering answering the question like this. I said, I have been asleep for too long, and it's time for me to wake up and know they have not given me any food. I have not gotten any food to eat, so I have not eaten anything. I've been asleep for too long, and it's time for me to wake up. That's how I know I answered the question, and I only answered the question like that because I was made to believe that at that time I was representing the country of Haiti. Like I personally am the country of Haiti, and they have not fed me. The country, they have not fed. I said they have not fed me, and I've been sleeping for too long. It's time for me to wake up. I think he did ask another question too that pertains to that, to where I said that I was asleep for too long, and it's time for me to wake up. That's what I said. I was sitting down on the bed when he was asking me the questions. Then he asked me if I want to go to the David Lawrence Center, which is a mental institute place. So when he asked me that, my spirit caused me to believe this, right? It was saying this to me. Said, yes, you need to tell him yes, because you need to get your story out. That's what it said. It says you need to tell him yes, because that will help get your story out. They need to know your story. So I remember telling him yes, and then I voluntarily walked to his car with him, and got in his car. And while I was in his car, and it was the same thing. It was the fact that I believed that it was in order to get my story out is why I had to go to the place. Okay, then I got into his car, and he was typing some stuff on his computer thing, and I was watching the whole time. I saw some words, but I didn't see everything that he was typing. And then he drove around, and I was looking around and this and that, and then he took me to the place. Okay, so he took me to the place. When I got there, I sat in the room. This last part is another amazing part that I'm about to reveal to you, and is the last part of my initiation at my story about what happened while I was at the David Lawrence Center. Notice the name, David Lawrence Law Center. Okay, I'm gonna do another part to talk about my testimony there. Okay, I'm gonna end this one right here, and we'll talk about the next one in the next video.